if I'm going live right now. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. I'm just coming on. Got to check the chat. I might have just a technical hiccup today. Can you see me? Just watching for the chat to see if you can see me. Commenting. How about now? So YouTube, you can do it, huh? Let me just do this again really quick. I'm streaming, and that's fine. Checking you out. Sorry, usually don't have the hiccups. Let me know. YouTube, you might get me the whole time. I just need to see if anybody is on from LinkedIn. But if not, I'll just record this and try to post it over there or something. It looks like not. Let me go back here one last time, and then I'm just gonna get rocking and rolling. I have good content. I have great content as I'm killing time and letting you know. You should have your YouTube. You're coming back in. It's in pre-live. Looks like this is not going to work on LinkedIn. Sorry. So, got you on YouTube. Hello all. Neil, nothing. Okay. Sorry. Go to YouTube. YouTube. Now I gotta find the link. If somebody can find me the link on YouTube faster, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, I'm gonna paste it. I'm 6 minutes in, but don't worry. I'll trim this all. I'll make it look nice. But I got really good content. So hold on one second. Again, if somebody's able to put that link in there before me, that'll be great. Into the LinkedIn side, going how I built popular 18, 15 watching. Okay. I'm talking to myself here. See, I'm closing that. I'm not looking at it. I can see myself live now. Okay, so let's get rocking and rolling. Do me a favor, YouTubers, just tell me one more time, excuse me, that you can hear me. And I'm going to load up my slides because they came off on something else. Slides. Oh, good. Got them. And let me get rid of some of this other stuff that's just annoying to me. Boom. And boom. Okay, I'm good. Sometimes you have technical difficulties. You just got to roll with it. But I'm here. So last moment, do me a favor. Tell me you're on YouTube, that you can see me. Give me a 5x5 one more time. Loud and clear. Thanks. Okay, so let's get started in today's training. I want to talk about why you should subcontract. I say for your first million, but this training is also good for your next million. Like, think about it that way as well. This is not just training for beginning people, but it is absolutely trying to encourage beginning people on how do I go towards $1 million. I'm building a company called Nancy Co., and it's a company I'm building on the side at most 1 hour a day to demonstrate what I teach over and over again. Look, I don't just teach it. I'll go build a company to get to $1 million in 1 year. And the way I'm going to do it is subcontracting. I'm not doing any prime contracting, et cetera. That's just too much work in the first year. And I'll talk about that in a minute. If you haven't heard me say this before, there's 3 ways to make money in the federal market. You can make money subcontracting under small businesses. You can make money priming directly to a federal agency, and you can make money subcontracting under a large business. Subbing under a small and a large are two different revenue streams because they're two different customers, right? All three of those are your customers. The small business you would sub under is your customer. The agency, federal agency, is your customer if you're priming. And then the large business is your customer. I sometimes hear people use the term prime contractor as if it is a large business. No, that's a large business. A prime contractor is anybody who's got the contract with the government. And so anytime you're working under them, you can make your subcontracting. So I really see subcontracting, and I know this, I've proven this out over the last 20 years with my own businesses and then training people, that subcontracting is the quickest way to get to revenue. You build relationships. Sometimes you're able to get on existing contracts or able to get in the door quicker to talk about smaller level contracts, which can move much faster. And they all move much faster than a opportunity that's 6 months out. Then you got to wait for the government to do their thing, come back and award it, then a start date, blah, blah, blah. The last thing I wanted you to pay attention to is when you subcontract, especially when you're a newer business and you really don't have much federal experience, you can learn from these other small businesses who have gone before you. And so it's really important for you to track on that. And I like to describe it as getting your eating money first. Before you grow a company, make sure you're feeding your family, right? And so that could be a W-2 getting a job or a 1099 type job or subcontracting. First, make sure you're getting enough money to eat and feed your family. Then you start growing. So that's what we're going to be diving into today, a path, my recommendation for a best path to $1 million as a government contractor, and it's through subcontracting. And again, this could be any type of business. So I'm going to cover down really fast because I ate up 10 of my 30 minutes by having a technical difficulty, but don't worry, we'll cruise through fast. But I'm going to break up the topic into three things: priming versus subbing. I really want you to just see some ways of seeing that. I want to just tackle top myths that people have about subcontracting. And then I'm going to give you like a checklist of how to go get a subcontract or how to start, going out and pursuing subcontracts. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, co-founder of GovCon in a Box, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner after I got out of the Army. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting, it's not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. This is what I want for you as it relates to subcontracting. Put in place a process for going after that kind of business. If you haven't done so already, connect with me on LinkedIn, follow my newsletter. You get a lot of good information in there. I want to congratulate the companies that are in the 100 Club. If you haven't already, put in that what number you are. I think we're up to 167 companies that are in the 100 Club. Very quickly, the 100 Club are companies that have reached a score of 100 out of 100 in their federal visibility score. How visible are you to federal buyers when they go looking for you in their own tools, right? And so go to govconinabox.com. We built you out tools and guidance on how to get to 100. It's free, but it's really important that you become visible to your buyers. Don't make it hard for them to find you. Let's start with talking about, as it relates to subcontracting and priming, what's the difference between priming and subbing, right? And I'm just giving you some. The first one I have here is who pays you. When you're a prime contractor, the federal government pays you. When you're a subcontractor, the prime contractor pays you. Here's a really interesting thing. When the prime contractor is working with the federal agency, they're a government contractor. They're getting their money from the federal market, right? This is really important for an 8A to remember. But if you subcontract, you're actually doing commercial business. Even though your end users that you're helping are federal, your actual customer is a commercial company. So you're doing commercial business. That's not federal business. Now, in marketing and when you try to do past performance, yes, you can play it that way, but your customer is the prime contractor. So they pay you. Second thing is who has responsibility for the work. In your case, you just have responsibility for cleaning the building or answer the phone for help desk or building out software, whatever it is you do, right? You have responsibility just for that work. Imagine if I was a subcontractor doing this type of training. All I'm responsible for is showing up and doing the training, right? Quality training, boom. That's the end of my responsibility, basically. But for the prime contractor, there's all this extra responsibility managing the relationship with the customer, the expectations. They've got all sorts of reporting that happens that goes through. None of that is your responsibility unless these guys delegate some and pay you for it. But there's a lot less responsibility. That's all I'm saying. You're both going to go support the customer, but they have a lot of extra responsibility that we subcontractors don't have. The third one is the administrative lift, and this kind of goes with that as well. You really just are time and material for the most part, right? You work 8 hours or 40 hours in a week, and you send time cards in and an invoice, and they pay you. But for these guys, they've got an administration lift that's much larger. They've got a certain way they have to be accounting for the work on the contract. They have administrative activities with the government to manage the contract with them. So there's a lot more administrative lift. The reason I'm using this yin and yang is saying it's a lot easier to be a subcontractor than a prime. There's a lot of benefits to being a prime. I'm not denying that. I'm saying it's a lot easier from an administrative or who's got responsibility for dealing with the government. The fourth one here that I have is that there's a revenue difference for sure, right? They're going to make more money as a prime contractor. Their revenue will be $1 million, but yours will only be $200,000 or $490,000 or whatever portion of the contract you have. So they count the entire revenue, but you only count the portion that is coming to you as that subcontract. And the thing to keep in mind, though, and this is very loose ways of looking at this, is that the profit margins are the same. So if you sit there and say, I want to be a 10% across the board profit, and when I say profit, I mean net profit. I've never liked the idea of gross profit. That's just working my way down to the real profit. But net profit, right? Both companies, a prime and a sub, can sit there and still decide what is acceptable profit for them and make it. You can be a very profitable company and make good net profit by subcontracting. You don't have to be a prime to make a profit in your business. Compliance headache, I talked about this a minute ago. There's a lot of compliance activity that must be done. And this is why you have a program manager who's responsible or contract administrator if the contracts get bigger. When there's headaches and things like that, the government calls the prime. They don't call the sub. And so you're not dealing with a lot of that kind of stuff. You just do the work and you're fine. And then invoicing is another thing, right? There's this whole activity that's got to go on with invoicing with the government. And all of that kind of stuff can be minimized when you subcontract. You get to just focus on the work and you submit your, every 2-week invoice or every 30 days. And the last one is in proposal writing. This is one of my favorite differences between a prime and a sub. I say subcontract a lot because you can really expand your reach. Imagine you're a company and let's say you're a little bigger and you've got, 2 people who can write proposals in your company or something, or 2 people who are doing business development, capture, and proposal writing. Like they do it all. But you got 2 people doing kind of sales. But imagine if you had 8 or 10 teaming partners where you were a sub under them. They're the prime and you're a sub. Well, they're writing the proposal. All you have to do is to contribute the part that relates to your work share. So for me, if I went after a big IT contract, but there was a small SharePoint one, my last company, then I would just write the SharePoint one. In fact, I would have reusable content. So I just send them what I have, goes, how's this? And for them, they're loving it because it's, hey, here's an expert on SharePoint sending it to me. And so they take the whole burden, the prime does, as the proposal writer and manager. They're putting it all together. They're dealing with that. And as a sub, I can go find more and more of these people so I can maximize my expertise out there. So there's just some differences between priming and subbing, but also just some of the value of subcontracting. Just makes your life a lot easier. But there are some myths out there. So let's talk about those. Because some of these myths really impact people's decision on whether we prime or sub. And I'm encouraging you to subcontract. I said subcontract for your first $1 million. If you have not made $1 million yet and you sell services, not products, not like a pen or a mouse, if you sell services, don't prime. Just don't. Even if you won something, you'd slow down your actual growth. It is far better for you to go subcontract with a couple of different firms, learn from them, grow your revenue and your experience. Okay, so let's talk about top myths that people have about subcontracting. The first myth people have about subcontracting is that subcontractors don't make any kind of real money, right? We just get little crumbs that are out there. Well, that's just not true at all. There are subcontractors, like one of my past customers had a contract $175 million contract. And there was a subcontractor on there picking up $20 million as part of that, right? I have another customer that won a $70 million subcontract under $1 billion company, right? So you can make money, real money, as a subcontractor. Another myth about subcontracting is that subcontractors can't build relationships within that government program office, et cetera. Well, that's just not true. No one's stopping you. There are some rules that some primes put in place saying, hey, don't speak on behalf of us and on behalf of our contract. We're the single voice of the contract. That's fine. That makes sense that they're the single voice of a contract that they're the prime on. But if you're on site, we call it inside the wire, meaning if you're in the building or the campus for a DOD program office or civilian program office, et cetera, if you're in there, you get to walk by and say hi to anybody you want. You get to go into meetings and demonstrate how good you are. Even as you're a sub, you can still demonstrate how good you are. You can represent them very well while also demonstrating that you are a subject matter expert and your company is. You can also have coffees and lunches. Those primes aren't going to stop you from building relationships. And so that's just a myth that subs can't build relationships when they're on a contract. A third myth about subcontracting is that you can't be recognized or you're not recognized for the past performance that is out there. And this kind of makes sense if we're thinking about this thing called CPARS. And if you don't know what CPARS is basically Yelp review for government contractors. How well was that restaurant meal experience that I had? I put that on Yelp. How well did I perform for my government customer? They put that on CPARS. So CPARS is Yelp for government contracting. So yeah, there is some advantage to being prime. You get the past performance. But a couple of years ago, they changed that so some subcontractors actually get entries in CPARS, so they get past performance. But those are just the formal ways. As an informal approach to getting past performance, getting credit for past performance, you do get recognized for past performance because you have a subcontract with, let's say, Booz Allen or company ABC. You have a subcontract that you can reference and say, this is the work we did. And you can show them the subcontract, you can show them the money. When you show that, you're demonstrating your experience. And so subcontracting is a way that even large businesses, multi-billion-dollar companies, use to get past performances in an agency they're not in. Sometimes it surprises me that I'm talking with a billion-dollar company and I realize, oh my God, you're not even in this agency. I just assume you're everywhere. Like you guys have, you're everywhere all at once, right? Type thing. But the reality is they're not. And so when they're trying to penetrate a new agency, then they go in and subcontract. They'll even subcontract under smalls to start getting themselves in and getting recognized for having some experience with that agency, some past performance as a sub. So that's a myth. Another myth about subcontractors is that we're just along for the ride. We don't gain anything out of this. We're just there, and when we're gone, we disappear. Well, that's just not true. When you come in and you're doing something of expertise, you will build relationships, you will get recognized, you will build past performances from your experience. So you're getting so much value. You're learning about the agency, you're learning about maybe how to go after this as a prime the next time. So you're getting a ton out of this. You're not just along for the ride. You didn't just throw a body on a contract and say, okay, I'm going to take my $10 off the top of that billable person or something. No, you're in there building your company through subcontracting. The relationship with the prime and the relationship with all the other stakeholders that are engaged in there. Of course, the prime gains, but so do you as a subcontractor. This one of my favorite ones is a myth about subcontracting is that subcontractors have no control or no influence. That is just you holding yourself back. It's of influence. The reason they put you on a prime contract is because they valued whatever you're bringing. And so you're already influencing how they're going to go after the contract to win it. You're influencing them by the fact that they went, these guys look like they can support our contract. Let's bring them in. You're an expert on the piece of work that you're going to support. So now you're influencing and almost controlling how they think about that direction. Let's say you do data analytics and you're on a contract that's a bigger contract with a small piece that's data analytics. You're going to have control over the direction they go because you're bringing, ironically, data and evidence about why they should go a certain direction. when you sit back or you find yourself, you're in a meeting and there's a table and then there's chairs around the outside, you just got to take a seat at the table. When you take a seat at the table, you'll be able to influence whoever's at that table. And in order to get to that table, you just need to figure out how to have conversations to demonstrate to people that what you had to say is worth listening to. What you had to say will bring value to their mission and to the contract. The last one is, and this is a big one people have concerns about, is there's a big myth out there that subcontractors just get kicked to the curb when they're teaming with other companies. And this myth comes from a place of reality. There's this great line that says, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean somebody's not chasing you. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean somebody's not chasing you. And the idea behind this is, yes, some of us have been kicked to the curb. If you've been around long enough, you have run into a prime that just does a horrible job. But fair play at this. If you've been a prime, then you've had smalls that are just subcontractors that have just done a poor job. Right? So that's not a problem with subs getting kicked to the curb. That's a problem with a good team coming together. If you have a good working relationship and you have been building that working relationship, you'll never get kicked to the curb. But if all you do is team on an opportunity, hey, here's an opportunity. I found companies going after it. I'm in, and boom, it's as if you just got married. And then you guys discovered, well, somebody has to clean the house and blah, blah, blah. And somebody's getting kicked to the curb. The idea that you're going to get kicked to the curb all the time doesn't play true out there. There are so many companies that you can talk to that you can see where they have these subcontracts. I talked about my customer that won like $60 or $70 million as a sub with a large. If you look at them in USA Spending or on GovCon in a Box where you can find companies, you will see all these subcontracts that they have had. And so they have had lots of success. And there are many companies like that, including both of my companies were like 70 or 80% subcontracting. We had so much success on the subcontracting side. So don't believe these myths. Treat them as cautions, but they're not truisms. I did want to thank our sponsors really quick before I go to the last slide. Graham, if you're doing American Sign Language or staffing services, check them out. Steel Toes, cybersecurity, and CMMC, especially if you're looking at DoD and trying to get certified, et cetera. Silk River Capital does small business lending, specializing in government contracting space. So make sure you check these guys out and certainly check out our GovCon in a Box tool. Okay, let me give you a quick checklist. I know I'm tight on time, but that is the day. But I did want to give you 10 steps on how to kickstart your subcontracting path, right? How to really make sure you're doing good. And these 10 steps should be pretty fast. Like by Friday, you should get it done, or within a week, you should be able to get it done. First thing, make sure you look at what you say you're selling and narrow that down to a clear, focused offer. This means I sell, like Graham, I was just saying, we sell American Sign Language services. That's very niche. And so if they go to another company and they say that, then it makes it really easy for them to say yes or no, right? So, but they need to be able to quickly understand. The second thing is update capability statement and LinkedIn. So once you have that clear offer, make sure you have a 2025 clear capability statement. Go watch all my training. You can go to govconchamber.com/capability statement, I think, and find a whole bunch of content out there. But then take your capability statement, put it on LinkedIn so people can find it. Third thing, before you start doing outreach and you're going to start doing subcontracting, create a call, voicemail, or outreach script for when you're calling so you know what to say, especially the voicemail, and create an email template, a very simple template. I've got training on how to do that you can find on YouTube. Number 4, pick a target agency. You can always come back and do more agencies, but right now you're just trying to go to 1 million. So go HHS. You could go even tighter, but HHS is fine, or Army as an example. When you pick that agency, it focuses the next set of efforts, right? Number 5, you said your core competency is this. Figure out what the complementary services are. So if you think about ASL that I just said with Graham, American Sign Language Services, well, a complementary service might be, it could be HR, right? People doing human resource type stuff. Or it could be equal opportunity employment. So they could find companies that do that, but you have to find out what services are complementary to yours, because that's the type of companies you want to go sub under. You don't want to go to another ASL company, for example. All right, number 6 is find winners at your target agency. If you're going after Army, go find those HR companies within the Army, the companies that are winning contracts in there. Number 7, reach out to these companies that you just found, and you can go to DSBS and get their contact information, but reach out and try to land a 15-minute meeting. And I'm just going really, really fast. I actually might go over a teeny bit, but you can leave early. Reach out, number 7, to get that 15-minute meeting. Don't do more than 15 minutes to start. Show them that it's not going to take a lot of their time for them to have that intro call. Number 8, be really clear when you get on that 15-minute call. Say, hey, look, I actually don't know a ton about the opportunities, but I'm very good at what we do, and I'm looking for a company I can sub under and really learn the whole government thing. And so, that's what I'm looking for, is a long-term subcontracting relationship where I build trust with you and your colleagues and your customers. Number 9, find 8 of these companies. So you're going to talk to a bunch until you get the right ones, but find 8 of these companies, potential primes who are willing to work with you, who have good complementary services and are winning at your target agency. When you have 8, you basically now have just increased your whole sales team by 8 people, 8 companies, right? That's a really big deal. And the last thing is, speaking of that, help them with capture. This is how you build a relationship. If we're looking at this opportunity, what can I do? Can I go find information on the internet? Can I go try to get meetings, etc.? When you do this, you're going to start yourself down this path of subcontracting. I've got a ton of other videos you can watch on that, but here's what I want you to remember from today's training. Subcontracting can absolutely lead you to $1 million. It can frankly lead you to tens of millions of dollars. So really keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that subcontracting, it is a faster path than prime contracting for your success. Yes, we want a prime contract at some point, but start with the subbing to really get traction. And number 3, subcontracting requires that you network in order to build these relationships. So when I talk about finding a target agency, finding winners, and then calling them, that's networking. When you come in here and you chat in my training, that's networking as well. So make sure you keep in mind, you need to really get to know a lot of people out there. Okay, I'm going to go. We're 31 past. I apologize for the technical hiccup. But as you move forward, just remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you in the next training.